Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Sorry, ma'am.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sorry.
I will be finishing the the corrosion of types of corrosion and the rest part of the corrosion from my side. And the next class you probably have on Tuesday. At that day, Painter sir will be finishing this corrosion part, and this will be the questions. I mean, this unit will be included in your MCQ too. Okay. Now let me share the slides. So I will wait only 2 minutes more for the rest of your friends to come. And today we almost have 26 slides, but don't worry, this is not a lot because the concept of corrosion is same in all the cases. And I think you already understand, right, that what is corrosion and what is, can you please tell me that if somebody have already started to read, then you can tell me that what happens at anode, right? Do you remember that what happens at anode?
Oxidation.
Sorry?
Oxidation.
Yes, oxidation. So it means that so the corrosion will start at anode, right? So this is a very small technique to remember. I will tell you that during my graduation classes, my teacher told me he write a word that loan, LOAN. So L for left, O for oxidation, A for anode, and N for negative. Okay, so negative means from anode the metal will come to the solution, releasing the electron in that that plate, okay, or the electrode. So you will remember the word loan. So you will always understand oxidation happens at anode, right? So today we will be talking about. Please give the attendance, and then I think we can start. How many of you? Okay, 54. So more than 60%. Yeah, we can start. Yeah.
The mobile number I filled in attendance form is different from that one which is registered in NIT. So,
okay. Yeah, it might be because of your, at the time you have used your parents' number, right?
No, it was my number. I have 3 numbers.
Okay, it's okay. You have changed your number, whatever. So today, whatever the numbers you are providing before the exam, at the time of exam, if we don't get you, then this number we can call and we will get you, not your parents, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no, not an issue. So do that. I will forward that to Nariman madam. So anyway, so I am going to share the slides, and I already have uploaded the slides regarding corrosion in the class work. So just a minute. So I will be making this.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, in MCQ2, till third unit came or only third unit come?
Actually, I have no idea because can you please tell me that unit 2 is finished?
Ma'am, little bit remaining, I think.
How much? It will be finished by this Friday?
Ma'am, cement topic is remaining, I think.
Okay, so that is depend. You can ask that part for the Naniman. You can ask that part to Naniman madam for that part, and the corrosion full will be included.
Ma'am, what part of syllabus has been covered in MCQ1 that will also come or not?
No. It will not be. It will not be covered. Okay, that is for MCQ1, and the rest of the part after the MCQ1. MCQ1, whatever it was covered after from that. It will be covered in MCQ2 as per I know, because I am doing that for the chemical engineering section. Okay. Now the fact is that, as what I am telling you, the corrosion mechanism I have already taught, and now I am going to teach you another part, types of corrosion, galvanic and concentration cell, these things. And Painter sir in the next class will be talking about the nature of corrosion and what is the prevention and all these things. So this part will be included, but for the Nariman madam's portion, ask her that what she is planning. Maybe it will be better for her to say. because I don't know about the way she will be preparing the questions or everything. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, so she is in charge of these questions and everything. So ask her. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me share this. Let me make the screen full and okay. So today we will be talking about the galvanic cell, concentration cell, and the types of the chemical and the types of electrochemical corrosion. So first of all, tell me. I will let you one thing know that all the metals I already discussed. I think in the first class regarding all these things, it was a basic introduction, and I already told that always the metal wants to have the stability, because if not the metals, all the systems all over running through the world, right? So always they want to have the stability, because if they are in higher energy, so they will naturally lose their energy and try to be stabilized because of the because of the the stabilization of energy. And we already came to know that when a metal is in the pure form, it is in energetically high state, because at the time of ore it was mixed with different others anions like chloride or sulfides, oxide, all these things, and we have given given energy to make it in the pure form. So the pure metal is always in the high state, so naturally they want to react with its environment, and for the same reason all the metals have the tendency to come into the solution. Whenever a piece of copper, now in this next slide I am moving, whenever a piece of copper is dipped in the water, some of the copper atoms, see, this is the problem. Okay. So whenever a piece of copper is dipped into the water, some of the copper atoms will come from the electrode, this one, to the solution. And now, and then what will happen? The copper atom from the electrode will come to the solution, leaving the electron here, and the copper 2 plus ion will be in the solution. So this is the forward reaction. Now there will be a backward reaction, where the copper 2 plus atom present in the water will try to deposit in the electrode plate, right? So there will be equilibrium. And in a certain step, the copper ion coming from the electrode and the copper ion deposition rate will be the same. So that is the process when the equilibrium is achieved. Now, this process of like the copper going to the solution in the water, and when a zinc, a piece of zinc is kept in the water, the extent of the corrosion from happening for copper or zinc is not the same, right? Because there is a difference in potential. Now that potential, or the or the tendency of a metal to go into the solution as the anion, it's called the electrode potential. I think you all read about these things in your NCERT books, right? So the fact is that the energy or the tendency for the copper to come into the solution will be less with respect to the zinc, which tendency will be much more to come into the solution. So now this is the equation in the right hand side left here. It is called the Nernst equation, and from the Nernst equation you can see the electrode potential or the electromotive force of the metal is dependent upon 0.059 divided by n, that is multiplied with log C by K. Now C is if consider that we have taken the 0.1 molar of solution of copper, then that is the concentration of the solution, and number of the charge of the ion is like in the case of copper it will be 2. If that is with the other metal ion like iron 3 plus, then n will be 3, and potassium is the equilibrium, and K is the equilibrium constant for this forward and backward reaction, and C already I told concentration. And so from this equation you can understand that the magnitude of the electrode potential depends on the charge, that is the nature of the ion. Number 2, the temperature, because equilibrium constant is certainly dependent on the temperature. And we also read about that on the equilibrium constant also dependent on the Le Chatelier's principle. And we remember that there is a movement, the equilibrium point shifts toward the right hand side and the left hand side depending on the exothermic and the endothermic reaction. I think we all read about these things in our NCERT books. So naturally temperature is also a parameter for the measurement of electromotive force. and also the nature of the metal ion. Like the copper tendency is less, while the zinc tendency is more. So these things is so these are the basic things I think we all know. And now we are moving to what is called the oxidation potential. Like I remember in the class, in the previous class, I was talking about that zinc and copper electrode like here, but rather than putting into different solution, it was kept inside a copper sulfate solution. I was discussing about that, right? So I told that when this copper and zinc electrode will be dipped in a copper sulfate solution and connected with a wire, then we will see the corrosion of the zinc solution and the accumulation or the deposition of copper in the copper electrode, right? So at that point, we can say that when there is a corrosion at the electrode of zinc, so there is an oxidation happening. So what happening? The zinc is from the metal state, the zinc is coming to the solution and it is forming the zinc 2+ ion. So that is the process of oxidation. Now zinc from a pure metallic state coming to the zinc 2+. And similarly, from the solution which contains the copper 2+ will be going to be deposited on the copper electrode, and the reaction happening is there. They are abstracting the electron which is coming to the anode through the external circuit, and the copper 2+ is deposited as copper. So this is the process of reduction, right? And now the thing is that, like whenever I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the electrode potential of two different systems, like copper and the zinc. But if we mix these two together, we cannot always measure that what is exactly we will get the net electromotive force of the cell, right? But we need to know the individually. So on the basis of that, we can calculate that which is more active metal, which is less active metal. So for that purpose, what is done to measure the potential difference of an electrode or of a metal with respect to its solution, a standard electrode is connected to it. And the standard electrode normally people use is like a hydrogen electrode. So hydrogen gases bubbles through a platinized platinum electrode. In the right hand side, you can see here the hydrogen gases bubbles, and it is kept in a 1 molar hydrochloric acid solution. And then the standard, this is the zinc electrode kept in the zinc solution, and there is a salt bridge. Salt bridge allows the passing of the anions. So what happens at that time? So the zinc will naturally show the oxidation. So what will happen? So the zinc will come into the solution, leaving and you can see the oxidation happens in the left hand side, and that's why the zinc system is kept in the left hand side, right? So think about the loan, the left oxidation, negative, and anode. So the zinc at the C here, so the zinc will be coming to the solution as a zinc 2+, leaving the electron here, and that electron will be flowing through the external circuit and coming to this cathode. Now here at the cathode, the hydrogen H+ ion will be taking the electron and will be generating the hydrogen gas, and which will be coming by the solution. I mean from the solution as a hydrogen gas, and we can see bubbles. So this is very common reaction. So, and this reaction is utilized for measuring all the materials available all over this world, just to measure its electromotive force. Okay, and to make it like a standard protocol, and the temperature is also, it's like 25 degree centigrade temperature, and the pressure is also, and for calculating all these things, I think then the value comes like that 0.059. That comes from that I forgot. We remember the equation now, PV equals to nRT. Do you remember
yes,
that?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, R was what the R is called. What the R is called? Gas constant.
Universal gaseous constant.
Universal gaseous constant. Okay, so that RT is coming to this equation also. Okay, so the equation actually is RT by NF. So I will show you in the previous, so here actually this part, the 0.059 you can see. So this is actually RT by NF. So R is equal to that gas constant, whatever you are talking, and then T is the temperature, N is the number of electrons, and F is the Faraday current efficiency. Okay, so from that that unit comes 0.059 by n. So this is the way how the standard electrode potential is measured with respect to the standard hydrogen electrode. And so this is the electrochemical series, and I think you all read previously this electrochemical series, and we know that in the electrochemical series, the elements which are which one are active, more active? Which elements are active in electrochemical series? Above the hydrogen elements are active, right?
Group
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, so the elements which is above hydrogen are active with respect to the elements which is below the hydrogen, right? So, and higher the negative potential, higher is the tendency of the metal to go into the solution. Like for that reason, whenever we are dipping the zinc, see here zinc is like minus 7.6 and copper is like plus 3.33. So certainly when we are putting the zinc electrode in the copper solution, the zinc is coming into the solution, replacing the copper ion, and the copper ion is deposited to its corresponding electrode, right? So this is the tendency of the metal which stays upper in the electrochemical series. And the total electromotive force of a system is calculated as the E anode. Let me see, here it is written, yeah, E anode plus E cathode. So E anode means the oxidation potential of anode and the reduction potential of cathode. So now see that E anode, so in our case, whatever I was talking about, that zinc and the copper. So just a minute, wait, I will just close my window. So you can see that in the case of like whenever I'm talking about the copper and the zinc system, I am going to the chart now. Now tell me what will be the electromotive force of the total system when a copper and the zinc is dipped into the copper sulfate solution. And I'm telling you that zinc is going to the oxidation and it is behaving as an anode, right? And copper is showing the copper is behaving like a cathode. Now see that zinc is here minus 7.6 and copper is here plus 0.33. Now tell me what will be the total electromotive force of that system?
1.1 volt.
Exactly. So it means it is the positive, right? And now, as we all read earlier, that I think in our NCERT books, we already read about Gibbs free energy. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am. The useful amount of work.
Exactly. So in the Gibbs free energy gives us the spontaneity of the reaction, right? So del G, the change in the Gibbs free energy of the system is equals to minus NFE. So E is the the electromotive force of the system. So it means higher the positive E is, higher will be the spontaneity, right? So and now I am going, so these things are done. And okay, so the same I was literally talking about all these times, that copper and zinc and dipped into the copper sulfate solution, and then there is a corrosion of the zinc and it is coming to the solution and replacing the copper. This is an example of a galvanic cell. So what a galvanic cell is? A galvanic cell is the cell where the chemical energy is converted to the electrical energy, okay? And the metals placing above the hydrogen, above in the electrochemical series, can replace the metal solutions which are staying below the hydrogen and make and can deposit them in the electrode, and the active metals will come into the solution. So this is the example of the galvanic cell. All these things are written here. I'm not going to in details. I already discussed these things in the last classes. Now I'm directly going to a new thing, which is called concentration cell. Now, what is a concentration cell? And now why I'm talking all about all these things? Because we will be discussing about 10 types of electrochemical corrosion. I think I have shown that all the types in the first class. And now the type of corrosion depends basically either on this electrochemical process or electrochemical cell process, or basically concentration cell process. Okay, so for that reason I am just giving a very small introduction of this the mechanism of these things, so that it will be easier for you to understand the rest of the type of the corrosion, because these things are very easy. Once you will understand that what is behaving as anode and what is behaving as cathode, and why is this one behaving as cathode, and what is the reason for this one acting as an anode even in the same system, then the rest of the things will be easier for you, very easy. So that's why we need to understand the basic concept, and the rest of the things follows. So what about the concentration cell? So now basically what is the difference between the concentration cell and the galvanic cell is that in the galvanic cell, as I was giving the example of two different metal, right? I was always taking a zinc electrode and a copper electrode dipped in an electrolyte, like a copper sulfate solution, right? Or maybe different other solution. Now in the case of the concentration cell, both, see here, it is an example of the concentration cell. So here, both the cathode and the anode are made up of same metal ion, right? We can see both are made up of nickel, right? And both the electrolyte solution are also same. Then you can ask that then why this potential difference generates? Yes, the potential difference here generates because of the concentration of the electrolyte is being used. So we can see in the left hand side, the nickel sulfate solution utilized is diluted, right? And in the right hand side, we can see the nickel sulfate solution was what was utilized was concentrated. Now, as we already discussed earlier in this class, that there is an equilibrium when the copper wants to come to the solution, right? And when the extent of the copper will be more, then they will be going back and to the deposition and they will be deposited on the electrode, right? Now tell me, in which case, I mean, when the nickel is dipped in the aqueous solution, I mean dilute solution, and when the nickel is dipped into the concentrated solution, consider these two cases. And now tell me, in which case the nickel metal ion have the tendency more to come into the solution. Tell me this one first. Tell me. Any idea? Any answers? You can tell me. Srishti, can you tell me?
Ma'am, from anode.
Yeah, I understand from anode, but the question is why? Why do you think anode means which one will be acting as anode?
Ma'am, ma'am, left one. I think so.
Oh, you can see the pictures. That's why you were giving answer. Okay, let me explain. So the thing is that the solution which is dilute in nature certainly wants to have more concentration. Okay, and the nickel ion, just to nickel ion will try to come to the solution because of its own electromotive force. And in the case of the concentrated solution, already the equilibrium, it is near the equilibrium, right? Because of this continuous corrosion and the forward and the backward reaction that I was discussing in the copper, in the case of the copper. So in the case of the concentrated solution, they are already near the equilibrium. So their tendency from to come into the solution will be naturally less. So what will be then at that time, that system, the concentrated system will be less active. So that will be acting as a cathode, and the more active system with the dilute one will be acting as a anode. And in this case, remember the dilute is the concentration of the nickel cation in the solution, right? And in this case, what will happen? The more nickel ion will deplete from the electrode and will come into the solution. So because of just the difference of the metal ion concentration present in a system, there will be a generation of the there will be a generation of a difference in the potential system, which will be causing which will be leading to the flow of the electron inside the system, and thus the concentration cells forms. So the basically the concept is like that. In a concentration cell, the source of the energy is comes from the tendency of the metal comes into the electrolyte in the part where it is diluted. So in the next slide we will see, yes, so in the next slide we can see here the source of the electrical energy in the cell is the tendency of the electrolyte to diffuse from a solution at the higher concentration to lower concentration, and with the expected to concentration is to be equal here. Okay, let me see the next slide. Okay, now, so this is the total concentration. Now, here, concentration cell of the, the system, and here the negative sign is given because we were talking about cathode and anode, and one was oxidation and another was reduction potential. Here in both the cases, they have considered, I think let me see, in the previous cases, what we have considered. We have considered, in both the cases, they have considered the oxidation potential. That's why the negative sign comes, okay? So now, and remember one thing, in a concentration cell, metal immersed in the dilute solution has a tendency to go into the solution and act as an anode, while that immersed in the concentration solution, concentrated solution will behave as a cathode. Okay, so I am clear now that when there is a change in the concentration of the metal, there can be a generation of electricity. When there is the change even in the concentration of the analyte like hydroxide, there will be a change in the, there will be a flow of current because of the difference concentration of the hydroxide in the same cell can start the flowing of the current. So these are the example of the, I mean, this is this type of, I mean, on the basis of these concepts, we will be talking about different type of electrochemical, different type of electrochemical corrosions. And the galvanic corrosion, I think I already discussed that the zinc and the copper corrosion, that is the example of the zinc and the copper corrosion. Or here there is another example, like here we can see that, let me make the screen bigger, then I can see that here we can see like a copper electrode is dipped in a solution containing NaCl, and this side, this picture is actually wrong because the left hand side should be the anode, but it is okay. So, and the anode is like the iron, and let me now check the electrochemical series so it will be better for us to understand. So see, iron is above the hydrogen, right? And copper is below the hydrogen. So iron is like minus 0.44. So naturally iron will be acting as a anode, right? So it will corrode, it will come into the solution, and when it will come into the solution, it will replace the H plus ion present in the solution. And so the H plus ion will be accumulated at the surface of the copper, and the cathode reaction will be the evolution of hydrogen, and at anode there will be the dissolution of the iron plate, right? So this is the example of another example of galvanic cell, similar like copper and zinc, where we have discussed about the deposition of brass. And now I'm going to another type of corrosion, which is called pitting corrosion. Now from the word pit, can you tell me what pit means? Pit means a hole. So now let us consider a drop of water resting on the surface of a metal. Now just see what the picture is given. Now the part of metal covered by the water drop has the low oxygen, right? And the rest of the part which is not under the water has the more oxygen. So the part where the concentration of oxygen will be less, that part will be behaving as anode, okay? And the rest of the part will be behaving as cathode. So this is the basic concept, and what will be happening, so the rest of the part will be less active, and the part which is covered with the water will be more active. And what will be the reaction there? The iron will be coming to the solution and will be forming like iron 2+, releasing the electron. Now that electron will be taken by the oxygen, and what will happen, they will form hydroxide and at cathode, and that hydroxide will be reacting with the iron free iron ions, and will be forming hydroxide and finally forming the rust. Okay, now the second one is like crevice corrosion. Crevice means like a narrow crack on the wall. So, and normally this crevice corrosion happens, I think we all have seen this, whenever we are utilizing utensils, we see that the corrosion happens at the type where there is whenever we have using a saucepan or cooking something with a the stick to hold. Okay, so there are some nuts and bolts, so we see that there is accumulation of the rust. I think we all have seen that the rust initially starts from that. Normally I have seen in the saucepans and the tea pans, whatever. So the corrosion starts there initially. Now the fact is why, see, consider this thing as an example of crevice corrosion, and see here, this is the example of nut and bolt. So see, below the head of the nut or the bolt, whatever, the nut, you will find that there is a concentration of oxygen is less. So this part will be acting as more active site, and the rest of the part, which is more open to the oxygen center, will be acting as a cathode. So the corrosion will start from this part. Okay, so this is also an example of the concentration cell, depending on the concentration of the oxygen, either gaseous or maybe non-gaseous. Maybe it will be better like the solution in water, like the rainwater. Let's consider the rainwater is accumulated in this area, and then the oxygen availability of this part is less, so the corrosion will start here, because this will be very active part of the metal nuts, and then this will be releasing the metal ion, and the rest of the part will be generating the hydroxide ion. Rest of the part doesn't mean this part, it means like this, maybe from this this very corner. So the hydroxide will start generating from here, and then there will be generation of rust, and slowly all these things will be covered by the rust. Now another is like differential. So I think now do you understand what I'm trying to say? That the formation of anode and cathode is basically important for corrosion. Maybe it is whenever we are talking about two different metal ions, then that is a galvanic cell, and the concentration cell is about formation of the cathode and anode in the same system. Now let us consider a system like let us consider a zinc rod dipped, not fully but partially dipped in a solution of electrolyte. Now tell me what, now in this picture, now tell me that the part of the solution which is dipped inside water will naturally will have the oxygen more or less? Tell me this one first. Less naturally. So what should be it behaving like? Cathode or anode?
Anode.
Anode.
Yeah, because the percentage of oxygen available there is less, and so then what will happen? The rest of the part which is already opened in the air will be behaving as cathode. So the depletion will start at the junction, right, where there is the availability of the oxygen, and just below the availability of the oxygen is less. So this is an example of aeration corrosion. And now the next one is like waterline corrosion. And what is the waterline corrosion means? Like, let us consider a steel tank which is filled up with water, and some of the part, maybe like see here there is maybe rust or some pollution, not pollution, maybe some mud, or it was not properly cleaned, consider. Okay, something precipitate or sedimentation have done there. Okay, so if there is a sedimentation inside a tank, so naturally that part will have a less oxygen. Okay, so from there, that part, with respect to the other surface of the wall, the corrosion will start. So that part will be behaving as anodic part, and the rest of the tank, which having the more oxygen above the water, will be having, you know, the cathodic part. And then then the corrosion will start. So this is an example of, you know, waterline corrosion. So basically the concept is almost the same in all over the corrosion we are talking about. Just you need to understand the thing. Now tell me this thing. So let us consider a pipeline. Okay, a pipeline is going under the underground. Now when a pipeline is going, see the concept I mean, in the underground, the texture of the clay or the rocks and the solids, whatever there, is not same. Some part contains high sand proportion, and some part contains low sand proportion. And the portion which contains low sand, they contains more clay or more, right? So the part which contains more sand are more aerated, right? Because of the porosity. And the part which contains more clay, they are less aerated. So the part which contains the less aeration, they will behave as a anode. Okay. And the part which is having the more oxygen, they are behaving as a cathode. So the part which is under the clay, they will be more active, and the part which is under the sand, they will be less active because of the availability of more oxygen, and thus the corrosion will start. Now there is another type of corrosion. So I think you realize what what I am trying to say. You all understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
These things are very easy, right? Oh, I didn't make this properly. Just a minute, let me fix this one. Otherwise, they look very bad. Okay, let me make this one small. Okay, so I think now you understand what I'm trying to say, that the mechanism of corrosion is same for almost, almost all in the cases. And the next one is like the microbiological corrosion. Now, from the term microbiological corrosion, what you understand, that the corrosion should be, related to the participation of the microorganisms, right? Either aerobic condition or anaerobic condition. So, actually, these things are clearly written in the Shashi Chawla book, what I have uploaded in the Google Classroom. You just can read that part, see through, and just if you just read for one time, you all will understand. It is such easy part. And so the metabolic, so the fact is like that. What is the metabolic corrosion? Microbiological corrosion. The microbiological corrosion is coming from the activity of the microorganisms. And there are several, bacteria like Thiobacillus. What they do, they actually oxidize sulfur and the sulfides directly to sulfuric acid. Okay, so this now sulfuric acid, if comes in contact of any hairpin cracks or any pits, okay, so then the corrosion will start, and this acidic extent of acidic corrosion will be very fast, because not by the water, the corrosion is going to happen by the acid. Okay, so this is the example of microbiological corrosion. Now another type of corrosion is like intergranular corrosion. So from the word intergranular, you understand that there should be the things containing grains, right? So I am directly going to this picture. So this is the picture of alloy that is steel. Now the steel is made up of iron, carbon and chromium. So it is said, like when the steel is forming, at the time the chromium carbide is generated. Now I'm going back to the last picture. Now we can see, and I'm making it a little bit full screen so that you can see. So it is said, now when the steel is formed, the chromium carbide is formed. Okay, here now you see that is the grain boundary with the solid black line, and you can see the part of the, like there are several dots, right? So these dots, consider that this dot possesses the concentration of the chromium carbide at that site more. So what will happen? Then the concentration of the chromium carbide at the outer part of that, if this is a grain of a steel, then the concentration of chromium carbide at this part will be more because of the precipitation. So immediately the part which is connected with dot, the concentration will be less, and then here the concentration will be in the middle, in the more, because from the chromium carbide will try to move to the surface. So there will be a difference in the concentration of chromium at the surface, just below the surface, and inside the steel grain. So the chromium which is present in the inside part on the surface, these two parts will be behaving as a cathode, and the part which is connected like dots where the percentage of chromium is less will be behaving as anode, and the cracking of the material will start from the the edge, or we can say this type of corrosion as like exfoliation, or the removal of the one by one upper layers. And I think we all have seen, like the steel, if there is a corrosion, will like steel materials in the edges start to crack initially. If we see that, then we will find that the edges not inside, like somewhere, like from the edges, the crack starts in the steel material in this way, no? And the last one is like the corrosion due to the formation of stress. Now, what is stress? Stress is like in the metal surface where there is uneven or bending or joint. These things are like stressed condition. So and also the area which always facing high heat, or maybe the airflow continuously, this part of the metal are always stressed. So that part of the metal will behave like an anode, and the rest of the part metal which are not in the stressed condition will behave as a cathode. And so the corrosion which happens because of the stressed condition of the metal, like here it is written that stainless steel when is coming in contact with the acid, brass when coming in contact with the ammonia, like also the chemical. So the part which is interacting with the environment more, or which is having like this type of chemical treatment, they are in the stressed condition, and that part will be behaving as anode because they will be more active. So the more active site and the area of that site should be less, and the rest of the area which is behaving as a cathode, that should be more, and that should be little inactive with respect to the cathode. So this is also a small concept. And another example of the stress corrosion is like caustic embrittlement, what we read in our boiler corrosion. We remember, and at that time we were discussing caustic embrittlement. You remember? If you remember, then you will then you can recapitulate that we were talking like during the soda lime process, the percentage of sometimes the percentage of sodium carbonate is present in the solution. So what happens? So due to boiling and this, what happens at the high pressure, that sodium carbonate dissociates and is formed sodium hydroxide, that is caustic, and evaporates carbon dioxide. Right now, if there are any hairline or hairpin crack inside the boiler, then that part there will be continuous accumulation of sodium hydroxide, right? And then the continuous accumulation of sodium hydroxide, if it is continuous process, one time the concentration will be high naturally. So that the concentrated sodium hydroxide will then be reacting with the surface of the boiler, which is made up by steel. And we remember that then it will be forming sodium ferrite. Now, when there is a formation of any impurity, so that part will behave as a what? Anode, because of the concentration, because of the lack of whatever, the oxygen, the reactivity, not the reactivity, because of the lack of oxygen, and that part will be more active. So the area where the concentration of sodium hydroxide will be more, they will be acting as a cathode, and rest of the part where the concentration of sodium hydroxide is less, they will be acting as a cathode. So this is also whatever. This is even an example of the stress corrosion, but finally, this is also, we can say that this is a concentration cell is generated depending on the concentration of the hydroxide. Okay. Now, the last one is like the erosion corrosion, which normally happens by the velocity of the gas or the the liquid what is coming out from, like if we are considering like let us consider like when we are trying to prepare steam, and from the steam we are preparing electricity, right? So what will happen, the continuously the steam is evaporating and it is continuously affecting to the blades of the turbine. So the velocity with which movement, the movement of the particles which is coming from the liquid and it is directly attacking the blades of the turbine, if the process is continuous, then what will happen, the upper layer or the protective layer of the turbine blades will be erasing. Okay, so that type of corrosion is termed as a erosion corrosion. Okay, and now these are the examples of electrochemical corrosion. And lastly, in the last class we already discussed about dry corrosion and wet corrosion, and here the difference between the dry corrosion and wet corrosion is given. So you can read that. I'm not going to discuss that, but just I can recapitulate that what was dry corrosion. Like from the word dry corrosion, you understand that the corrosion was the corrosion mechanism should be happening without the presence of any liquid or moisture, right? And we also discussed about the dry corrosion normally happens in the presence of chlorine and oxygen. And if you remember that I was giving the example of silver chloride and stannic chloride formation, and the wet corrosion is naturally the corrosion which forms in presence of the liquid, and it is more a rapid process, and the corrosion starts as anode, and the deposition of the metal happens at the cathode, and the cathode and the anode are separated, and the oxidation occur at anode, and cathode the deposition of the metallic compound. And if there is no electrolyte or the ions present in the solution, then hydroxide will generate at cathode, and these things are there. And like the example of wet corrosion, very easy example is like rusting of iron. So any questions? Do you have any queries regarding that? No question. Okay. I think all are sleeping.
No, ma'am.
तुम लोग नहीं सो रहे हो? अच्छा.
No, ma'am.
जल्दी हो गया मैम.
हाँ, जल्दी हो गया, मतलब मैंने थोड़ा थोड़ा करके इसको खत्म कर दिया, ज्यादा तुम लोगों को नहीं पढ़ाया, और ये ज्यादा पढ़ने का है भी नहीं. तुम लोग अगर शशि चावला का जो बुक्स है ना उसको देखोगे तो देखोगे कि इसके अंदर जस्ट अ मिनट, देखोगे कि इसके अंदर कंटेंट ज्यादा है.
ओके मैम.
What you were asking regarding the Shashi Chawla book? Yeah, I already uploaded the corrosion part and checked that. And as far I remember, I once uploaded that, although it was unethical, in Google Classroom, and somebody has informed me that they downloaded the book, right? One of you has downloaded. Because he or she has called me, and then for a few minutes or few hours I have uploaded that book, and after that I came to know that I cannot even share that book, so I am not sharing again. So the person who already downloaded at that time, they can share that part with your friends. And as we are in the, you are students, so you can do these things, and I am being a government official, I cannot do something unethical. So yeah,
एक सेकंड,
yes, you are students, तुम लोगों के लिए साथ
बच्चों की बहुत की सरकारी नौकरी होती है क्या?
क्या क्या बोल रहे हो?
नथिंग मैम.
सो एक्चुअली तुम लोगों के लिए 7 खून माफ है, मेरे लिए नहीं है. तो तुम लोग क्या कर सकते हो, तुम लोग जो डाउनलोड करके रखे हो वो तुम्हारे दोस्त को भेज दो. मैं गूगल क्लासरूम में नहीं भेज सकती क्योंकि आई विल बी then charged with this rights and copyrights and everything issue. So the part I can share, but I cannot share the full book. So तो तुम लोगों का कोई लाइब्रेरी का एक्सेस नहीं है क्या ई बुक का? Because I came to know like 10,000 e-books are there in NIT Raipur. People the library
एक्सेस नहीं कर पा रहे हैं ना बुक्स को अपन. उसके लिए
एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर कर लीजिए
मैम, किसी एक बच्चा को भेज दीजिए, सबको फॉरवर्ड कर देगा.
किसी को,
किसी एक को भेज दीजिए पर्सनल में, वो सब
हम सीआर को
भेज दिया था ऑलरेडी, अपलोड किया था. कोई ना कोई तुम में से डाउनलोड किया था, वो मुझे पता नहीं किसने किया था, मगर किसने मुझे मेल किया था. तो उस टाइम मैंने अपलोड किया कुछ टाइम के लिए, फिर उसने मुझे बोला कि यस मैडम आई डाउनलोडेड, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर इन व्हाट्सएप नंबर एंड एवरीथिंग. And after that, nobody is now saying that we haven't downloaded. I did that. I think in December I did that. Anyway, तो तुम लोग करोशन जो है ना, उस पार्ट को देखो, उस पार्ट को मैंने ऑलरेडी डाल दिया, तुम लोग वहां से पढ़ सकते हो. और बाकी जो लिस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट है वो तो करोशन का मैंने पूरा ही डाल दिया, ठीक है, वहां से पढ़ो. और नारीवन मैडम का तो फ्यूल्स का स्लाइड जो है वहां से पढ़ सकते हो. कोई ऑनलाइन कोई बुक अवेलेबल नहीं है. जैसे देखो मुझे मिला है एरिक बारूचा का एक बुक मिला है मुझे ऑनलाइन एनवायरमेंटल के लिए, ठीक है, वो मैंने शेयर कर दिया. वो सभी के पास वो होना चाहिए, ठीक है. तो मैंने वो शेयर कर दिया और तुम लोग भी वो सर्च कर सकते हो. तो तुम लोग देखो ना किसी के पास हो सकता है कि नहीं, ऐसा किसी के पास है कि नहीं देखो. और एक बात है, केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग में everyone has Jain and Jain. Okay, then what is the issue? Jain and Jain पढ़ो.
ओके मैम,
कोई इशू नहीं है.
जैन एंड जैन बुक मेरे पास है.
हाँ मेरे को शेयर कर देना.
तो
हाँ
ग्रुप में शेयर.
हाँ ग्रुप में शेयर कर दे अभी जल्दी.
that. Okay, so I think we don't have class right now. And और एक बात है, तुम लोगों में वो कौन है, सीआर कौन है? सीआर को मैंने फोन किया था, उस लड़की नहीं तुमने तुम्हारा लड़की, हाँ समृद्धि, तुमने बात किया था.
मैम की क्लास थर्सडे को है.
थर्सडे मतलब टुमारो?
यस.
So tomorrow you will talk na regarding the term paper project and everything.
Yes ma'am.
Yes, so please do that so that you will get to know that which type of topic you need to choose for term paper project. I have no idea regarding this, so ask Nariman madam and Penta sir, because you need to submit that probably in the 8th of April is the last date.
Okay ma'am.
Yeah, and I can share. I am also going to upload the format in the Google Classroom of this, the format of the term paper project. So you just ask Naniman madam that what should be the type of the content you should be choosing. Like last time I remember somebody choose electrochemical cell. I got one sample of that, but I cannot share. Rather, I can share you the the format. And like there are several topics like hydrological cycle, electrochemical cycle, like galvanic cell. If you want to choose pitting corrosion, just whatever the thing you can choose, you need to find like 10 to 15 articles from that topic, scientific articles, not like any newspaper cutting or doesn't have references. Then in the term paper project format, you will find that there is a introduction and discussion and all these things, and also abstract. So you need to write that the pages, and you need to type in Word, and it should be like 10 to 12 pages. And remember that you cannot copy from any website, any scientific articles, any books. The language, English, should be your own. Okay? If you copy, there is a software called Turnitin. We can check, and then you will have a problem regarding the plagiarism. Okay? So you cannot copy. You have to write the content in your own English, but the citation can be same with your group members. First of all, that. And the second one is that try to choose, ask Nariman Madam also regarding this, that try to choose the topic you need. Okay? Can you please tell them the turn it in, so that we can verify before submission? I think probably you cannot verify from before submission, because this need to this required for registration through the institute. I think like if you were 75 students, so 25 term paper will be checked by me. So I will check the percentage of plagiarism from your part by the Turnitin software. Okay, I have to check that at the time of checking your, when you will submit that. After that, I have to check. Yeah.
10% plagiarism is allowed. How many?
10% is nothing. You have no idea. 10% is nothing. So normally try to copy almost nothing. Then maybe your percentage will be 10%. Because whenever you are reading 10, 12, articles, there is an impression in our mind. So we will write in the same thing. We will write to, there will be impression of all these words and how they have written. So naturally that comes in your, that style of writing will naturally impact the way you are writing. So in that ways, the plagiarism normally comes. So try to do that. Yes?
We will submit PDF or PPT?
So no, it will be written in Word initially, and then if required, we will ask you to convert in PDF. So try to write in Word file. I am now just going to upload the term paper project format here and ask in detail from Nariman Madam regarding this. Okay?
Who will provide topics? Like, what are
you have to choose by your own. You have to choose by your own. There are several topics.
There should be a set of topics you will provide, ma'am. There should
like the syllabus, from the syllabus, like let me see the syllabus. Okay, let me see the syllabus of your applied chemistry. Then from that you can choose, you can ask your friends from the different classes, like those who are doing the, those who are doing this applied chemistry course of the other section, you can choose that.
Some topics are like,
yeah, you can. Do you have your friends from that? So you can ask them. Yeah, so you can think about softening of water, and then what is caustic embrittlement, and choose that topic, internal treatment of water. But remember that the title should not be matching with your friend, okay? Anyway, I'm closing the session because I have a meeting at 4 within 5 minutes. So, okay. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, bye. And discuss with the Nariman Madam, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
So,